Okay, good morning. I'm going to talk to you guys today about something that my parents talked to me about when I was younger to help me in life, which is the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. So you should listen to me because according to David DeMoss, a professor at Pacific University in philosophy, said that the Four Noble Truths offer a unique perspective on how to deal with suffering in everyday life. So today we're going to talk about the origins of the Four Noble Truths and how they came to be and how they were created. Secondly, we'll talk about the first two Noble Truths themselves and how they pertain to the origins of suffering. And lastly will be the last two Noble Truths, which are the end of suffering. So the first Noble Truth, the origins of the Four Noble Truths came to be from a man named Siddhartha Gautama, or more commonly known as Buddha. He created the Four Noble Truths upon viewing four specific things. The first thing was the suffering of a sick man. The second thing was the suffering of an old man. The third thing was a dead body. And the last thing was the actions of a monk. All of these four observations combined led him to the realization that throughout the world there was so much suffering, yet so little that anyone could do to help themselves and others. So he set out to create a solution, a permanent solution to the end of suffering. This led him to create the Four Noble Truths, and then later on, ultimately Buddhism itself. So now, for secondly, we're going to talk about the first two Noble Truths and the origins of suffering. So as Chris King said in his essay, there's so much suffering in ordinary life because people are so unsatisfied with their lives. And this pertains to the first Noble Truth because the first Noble Truth defines that their suffering is throughout life through to two main types of suffering: physical suffering and mental suffering. Physical suffering has four categories, that are unavoidable, which are birth, death, old age, and sickness. Mental suffering pertains to separation from those whom we love, contact with people we do not like, and frustration from our desires. These two main types of suffering are caused by two things, which are craving and ignorance, which the second Noble Truth talks about. Craving comes from the pursuit of constant pleasure of our senses and never fully being able to attain those, and constantly replacing one craving with another, therefore leading to an endless cycle of unsatisfaction in our lives. The second main cause of suffering is ignorance, which is caused by living in fear of the world around us, and because of not being able to fully understand and grasp it. So the third thing we're going to talk about today is the last two Noble Truths and how they pertain to the end to suffering. The third Noble Truth talks about the fact that there is an end to suffering, and there is a permanent solution, which is, as Buddha defined it, the supreme happiness. Supreme happiness is defined not by material items or wealth, but rather enlightenment and wisdom. And this can be attained by removing three main things, which are ill will, desires, and frustration. With ill will, frustration from our desires, and gossip. Sorry, it was gossip of talking about others. So the road to supreme happiness is defined in the fourth and final Noble Truth, which It's called the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path basically is 8 steps that fully look deeper into past what the Four Noble Truths talk about suffering. Instead, they have specific steps to guide one in the everyday life, and they can be basically broken down into 3 categories, which are mental development, wisdom, and goodwill towards others. So today we talked about the Four Noble Truths and how they were created and how they pertain to the origins of suffering and the end to suffering. So I hope that you guys got a different perspective on how to deal with suffering in your everyday life.